Hey there folks, I'm Michael with BC Shaver and Hobbies, and this is the NCE PowerCab DCC starter set. Digital command control is one of the all-time great innovations in the hobby of model railroading. It allows multiple trains to be controlled individually on the same track, as well as realistic sound, lighting, and other features. It works by sending both power and control signals through the track to a decoder chip in the locomotive. Today I'm going to review a DCC starter set, specifically the NCE PowerCab. This retails for about $300 Canadian and it includes almost everything you need to get started with DCC. You have the instruction manual, the handset, the power supply, the PCP panel, two cables, and this tiny little plug, which is very important. All you need to provide is some track, a locomotive with a decoder installed, and a screwdriver. Setting up the PowerCab is quite easy. First, you need the two wires from your track. Those go into this little plug, which has a pair of screw terminals. Next, this plugs into the back of the PCP panel. The power supply also plugs into the back of the panel here. If you're installing this on a layout, you'll want to mount it to the fascia. Make sure you orient it so that the red light is on the bottom. Plug one end of the flat cable into the left-hand socket. Plug the other end of the flat cable into the handset. Plug the power supply into the wall and you're ready to go. When you first power up the system, it'll take a few seconds to boot up. When it does, you'll see this screen. This is the address of the locomotive you have selected. This is your direction, this is your speed, and this is your clock. I should note that this isn't a normal clock, this is actually a fast clock for simulated train schedules. To run a train, the first thing we need to do is select the locomotive address. Now, the default is 3, and most decoders are set to 3 from the factory, but I've set this one to 6. So we simply select loco, 6, enter. It's now set to 6, and if we now increase the throttle, there we go. You can adjust the throttle with this thumb wheel or with these buttons. This jumps it up and down 1 speed step at a time, this jumps it up and down 10 speed steps at a time. The momentum button changes how long the train takes to speed up and slow down. You can set it to any value from 0 to 9. Let's set it to 3 as an example. It will realistically gradually speed up and gradually slow down. Momentum does mean that, like a real train, it'll take a while to slow down. So, if you're about to crash, or you just need to stop it in a hurry, press the red emergency stop button, and it'll stop right away. My little diesel switcher has a very basic decoder in it. To really show off what the PowerCab can do, we need something with a few more bells and whistles. This is a Rapido Trains Royal Hudson, and unlike my little diesel switcher, this has a very high-end decoder with a very fancy sound system. The basic controls are the same for all decoders, but the sound is where the real fun starts. This is where the numbered function keys come in. On almost all decoders, function 0 turns the headlight on and off, function 1 is the bell, function 2 is the whistle, and the rest of the functions do various other things depending on the decoder. Function 8 is almost always mute for the sound. In addition to the function buttons, the PowerCab also has shortcut buttons up here for the 3 most common functions. These do the same thing as functions 0, 1, and 2, respectively. The only difference is that the horn button is essentially a momentary switch, so it blows the whistle as long as you hold it down, whereas 2 toggles it on and off. This makes the horn button a bit easier to use if you want to do realistic whistle signals. For example, functions 0 through 9 are instantly accessible through this keypad, but in order to get to the rest of the functions, it's a little bit more complicated. These 3 buttons down here double as functions 10, 11, and 12 using the Shift key. Hold it down, and press that, for instance, to activate F12. In order to get to functions 13 and up, you have to change one of the cab settings. This isn't complicated, but I've already done it, so now the Option key will essentially add 10 to the value of each function. So pressing function 0 is now function 10. Press option again, adds 20. Function 2 is now function 22, and so on. Press program escape to get back to the normal screen. Another nice thing about DCC is that you can control multiple trains even if you only have one cab. For instance, although the Royal Hudson is currently running, if I select the diesel, I still have control over it completely separate from the other train. I can even run it in the opposite direction. The PowerCab even has a feature specifically for this. If I press the recall button, it will switch between the two most recently used locomotive addresses. You can see it switching between 3 and 6 there. So that enables me to very quickly switch between the two locomotives and have almost simultaneous control over both. And of course, if you add more cabs to the system, you can have multiple people, each running their own train on the same track with no interference. Most of the cab settings will never need to be changed, but if you want to, you can adjust almost every aspect of how the PowerCab operates. Everything from reassigning buttons to changing the response speed of the thumb wheel. You can also program decoders with relative ease, change the address numbers, adjust configuration variables, link locomotives together into a consist, anything you want to do. NCE even offers wireless cabs so that if you have a large layout, you can follow your train around and not be tethered by a cord. Speaking of large layouts, if you have one, you'll probably also want to get a bigger power supply with more amperage that can run more locomotives, which NCE also sells. I've gotten the chance to run trains on a large layout equipped with a PowerCab system and several cabs, and even though it was my first time using DCC, it was completely intuitive and I had no issues running it. If you're looking for a capable and expandable DCC system at a good price, I'd say this is the one to get. You can be set up and running trains in less than 10 minutes, and it can expand and grow as your layout does. If you'd like to buy your own PowerCab system, visit us at BC Shaver and Hobbies or online at capitalhobbies.ca. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. I'm Michael, and I will see you next time.